Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I am your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is Bodybuilder, Sessions Wrestling, an amazing talent and an amazing human being, Miss Marilyn Yee. Marilyn, it's a pleasure and a privilege. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
You're very welcome. I gotta say, with such size, stature, and a specimen that you are, you really do hold it down for the bodybuilding game and the Sessions Wrestling game. I gotta say, I really enjoy your work.
Thank you. Um, when I first started bodybuilding was when I was 18. I'm turning 31, so it's been almost half of my life. I had eating disorder. I was anorexic, and I wasn't eating. I was doing a lot of cardio, and my organs were failing. And my mom saw like my body weight was dropping really drastically with belly. Then she brought me to a nutritionist, and she said if I wasn't going to eat, and I was going to die. And then I was dieting for like the diet, my own way of losing weight for 8 months. Then I had to start going back to normal eating pattern, and I was worried about the rebound. And then I started weight training, and gradually, then I started knowing some bodybuilder. That's how I got into bodybuilding.
I will say this first and foremost. Thank God that you're alive because you're doing the damn thing, number one. And also, number two, I look at it from a stance, too, as well. That gravitational pull, so to speak, with how you got into bodybuilding. And also, not just as far as health wise and you just being the specimen that you are, I look at it from a stance, too, as well. You probably, a lot of people don't realize like the positivity and a lot of stuff that goes into it. Yes, it's hard, it's very disciplined, but it's something that's really being positively proactive for you and a lot of women and empowering women from an external standpoint. So there's a lot of positivity that goes into that.
That's right. That's right. I have to fight myself because at the time I believed that was an achievement for me to start for myself, like being skinny. I saw it as a accomplishment, especially being born and raised in Hong Kong. People like the idea of being skinny, and to me, to have to fight myself to get back to normal eating, it's like it's a lot, really. It's a mental challenge.
Can imagine. I look at it from a stance too as well. With you doing your thing from Hong Kong, and now here you are in the States. I think the culture styles as well, and I also look at it from a stance too as well. We all come in different shapes and sizes, which is absolutely wonderful. Whether it be skinny, what have you, we all have different people. We all have different varieties, so to speak, when it comes to us as people. So I look at it from a stance too as well. You've gotten yourself into a good place, and at the end of the day, not just the physical health, but the mental health as well. To have yourself in a good place where you feel happy, you feel empowered. That's the ultimate end goal right there.
That's right.
And I look at it from a stance too as well. I'm going to say right now, Miss Marilyn, you probably one of my favorite names out there right now, the Tiny Tank. We got to talk about this here because it brings a smile to my face. I love the name. I think it's amazing with someone of your size and stature. Here you go, swole's the goal. We got the muscles, but don't let my size fool you because here we go. It has an overall strength to it, and it really puts a smile on my face because I think it's a great name, and you really hold that nickname, that name down. That is the Tiny Tank. So I'm going to ask you, how'd you get that name? Because I love the nickname of the Tiny Tank.
Well, like, well, I just want to be humble. Like, I don't want to call myself tank because I'm only 5'2". I'm pretty heavy for my heights, and I think tiny tank is humble. And everybody in this field, wrestling, whether if it's wrestling or bodybuilding, everybody wants to stand out like I'm Titan or stuff like that. But I just want to make it sound as humble as I can be.
Well, first and foremost, you are a very humble lady, and number two, I look at it from a stance once more. It's one of those things too where it's an extension of yourself, and you're also amplifying yourself. So, from your character standpoint, and you as well, when it comes to wrestling, I think it's a fit. And like you said, that's a generic thing right there too, because Marilyn just said it here, folks. Like when you have someone like a Titan, like how many Titans can there be? I think there was a Titan on American Gladiators.
All of a sudden, someone is humble, and then I'm the one who's stand out. Like, who's thinking I am?
Right. Well, no, and I think it works too because also there's many tanks, and I mean that also shows the intensity and the power game with your name. Like I'll say it, and excuse my language, like a brick shithouse, so to speak. So I mean the tank, it's very fitting when it comes to yourself, Marilyn.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad I like it.
Absolutely. And I mean, what's also great about it too is as well, and with bodybuilding, I mean, COVID was a nightmare for a lot of people, as it was in general. I mean, we had everybody, unfortunately, a lot of deaths. We couldn't do anything during the COVID period and the pandemic. So I have to ask you, with everything that was going on during COVID, like, there's the creativity side of things of home workouts. Gyms are not open. We got to do our thing. So I'm going to ask you about the home workouts as well, because creativity's flowing. I'm sure there was a lot of home workouts on your end as well, right?
Well, I was lucky enough to be able to have access to a powerlifting gym when pandemic hit. I was actually still in Hong Kong, and I went back from Canada. I was in Canada for about half a year, and I went back to Hong Kong. That's when pandemic hit, and I was stuck. I'm like, shit, and I was prepping too, and then lost my job. Um, so I have two coaches right now. So Shelby Stern has been my coach since 2018. He prepped every single one of my show, and I wasn't able to afford him. Not even Shelby, my online coach, and I was lucky. He offered to help me for free, but he was coaching me for free for a couple months, and I was able to have access to a powerlifting gym where there's barely any machines. It was just barbell plates and cable. That's all. And that's when I get really, really strong at all my compound movement. I'm always like, I have a very good structure for leverage, for lifting weight. Like I'm short and stocky. I have a really, really good structure for lifting heavy. But I was never really focused on doing compound movement because, to be honest, in bodybuilding, you don't really have to focus on those. But then when I didn't have access to equipment like most commercial gym does, I became very, very good at it. Because the only way I could train is with just plates and barbell. And that's actually the reason why I start ripping out a lot of reps on my barbell back squat and deadlift. And I'm glad I did, because like a lot of people going through the period of time where they didn't have access to gym or only was able to access to gym where there's limited equipment, they decided to not really train as hard. But instead, I figured my way out, and I actually started jogging again. I have Muay Thai background. I did Muay Thai for 2 years. So I was able to start jogging again. With my body weight, I think I was 65 kilos for my height, and I was still jogging every day because that was the only cardio I could do.
Wow.
I,
Well,
yeah,
that's the thing too, because you're, again, it's staying positively proactive, but you also have that stance of, it's just like, hey, I have that ability. Let me make the most of my abilities here with powerlifting, getting strong. And you also have the Muay Thai. Here's the thing: it's multifaceted, and that's what you have to do. Getting the strength and the discipline, Muay Thai, little bodybuilding over here. You have to stay on that grind, and not only is it good for your mind, it's good for the soul. It's stuff like that that I think a lot of people need to be more open-minded to, where it's fine to just go and do multifaceted things, not just stick to one thing, but you have all these accessibilities in front of you. Just go out and do it, right?
that's right. But you cannot really do it all at the same time
True.
because when I was doing Muay Thai and bodybuilding at the same time, it was first couple of years when it was happening at the same time, and I didn't know it would interfere with each other because I was very like I was anorexic, right? And
Yeah.
on recovery to start going back to normal eating pattern, I started bodybuilding and I was doing Muay Thai, and I had no idea I could not do both at the same time because you want to stay as small as agile as you can for any combating sport, and that's where I was. I was lighter than 90 pounds, and then I was bodybuilding at the same time. I was getting heavier, and then Muay Thai is a lot of kicking,
Yeah.
striking, like continuous kicking, which is very exhausting. And then I feel tensions on my ankles because I had to constantly jumping with one leg, and I was feeling heavier and heavier, and I started have pain in my tendons, and then I realized I had to pick one. I had to pick one, and obviously I chose bodybuilding.
I can respect that too, and I also, and it's very extensive and it's very exhausting, kicks and strikes. I mean, I can only imagine, but I look at it from a stance too as well. I think you've made the most going from the bodybuilding world and now gravitating towards the sessions wrestling world. I got to say, first and foremost, if those who are not following Miss Marilyn Yee on social media, you get a lot of eloquence, you get a nice little size and poses, doing your thing. You're a very fun follow on social media, I will say, and also with the session side of things, there's so many different varieties and sessions. But let's talk about how you gravitated towards sessions wrestling. How did did you get involved in this world? It's an amazing combative nature. It's an art form, much like bodybuilding is. How did you gravitate towards sessions wrestling?
So when I first started, actually was because I lost my job. I was a hairstylist, cosmetologist for 12 years. So we call it hair technician in Hong Kong. And then when I lost my job, I first started her biceps. Then people in my chat room start telling me about section, and I gave it a shot. And that's how I started. And then, you know, when I stopped Muay Thai because of bodybuilding, but then I realized doing session was actually giving me opportunity to use my combating skills again, which is great.
I gotta say, for those who have seen Marilyn in action, I gotta say, I like your technique. You got the chokes, you got the style, you have that systematic dissection, joint manipulation about you. I gotta say, you're a fun session, man, and I'm sure the clientele love what you're doing.
They love my head scissor and my choking, and I have 18 knockouts record
Oh snap! Okay, so here's
just by my head scissor.
hey, well, that's the thing too, and I think a lot of people don't realize with professional wrestling, like we see many different styles of professional wrestling, but once you lock in like a nice little headlock, a nice little head scissors, you're down for the count. It's the most simplistic of things, but it also works, you know?
Yeah, and I do have great like it's also stamina too. It's not just strength. It's a bit of everything.
And I think what I also kind of gravitated me myself towards you, Marilyn, and it's one of those things too as well. When you look at someone like yourself, external beauty exemplified, and I mean this wholeheartedly. You ladies of the sessions wrestling industry, and Jennifer Thomas does an amazing job. It showcases a lot of amazing talents, the clientels and art forms, but you do also have that sex appeal side about you too as well. So it really encompasses a lot, and it really showcases in the product that is sessions wrestling, right?
I think so. Well, I don't. I don't know. No, nobody has ever told me to have a good sex appeal, but thank you.
Truth is truth, my friend. Truth is truth. I think that's the amazing thing about women, and what I'm a big into the fact of internal and external beauty. If you look at sexiness, if you really look at sexy how it is, we define as men and as women and as individuals our different types of what sexy can be. It can be externally, internally, could be the mind, could be what have you, certain body parts. But sexy comes in many different layers, and I think you do exemplify sexiness.
Thank you. Wow, that's an ultimate compliment.
You're very welcome, but no, it's true. And I mean, first of all, how can I not? With multifaceted, we were talking about bodybuilding, a little Muay Thai. Hey, I could do your hairstylist side of things. Again, like that stuff right there really showcases the ups, the downs, and boom, here I am. That is a storyteller right there. And you've really gotten something with what you've done in sessions wrestling. And I mean, I've seen a lot of the content that you produced with Candy Legs. I mean, y'all are doing arm wrestling and doing your thing. Candy
Yeah.
Legs is another one who exemplifies that. She's awesome.
She's awesome. She's really cool to work with. She's wild. She's funny. She's really easy to talk to. And she's so good at doing video. Like, yeah, she knows what to say, what to do. And, she's more experienced than I do.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of your ladies arm wrestling stuff and the stuff that you two, you guys have great chemistry. But I think that's what's great about sessions wrestling is there's that uniqueness, right? Everybody has a different preference, whether it's lift and carry, head scissors, body scissors. We all want to do what we do when it comes to sessions wrestling and putting out content. And you need that because, again, it's very open-mindedness. It also expands our horizon. And I think you can agree with me on this. We all need to be more open-minded as people and really explore some new things, right?
That's right. That's right. Lifting, carry, wrestling, and tapered.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Yeah, we also did some videos together from when I was in Jersey. We did was that belly button worship?
Yes.
Yeah, it's new to me. And bear hugs. Bear hugs is really hard to do. It's because it's only one action, and there's no. You have to figure out what to say and what to do, like how to continue, like keep going with the flow. It's hard.
Right, and I look at it from a stance as well. It's the core strength, it's the upper strength, and bear hugs, and a lot of people don't even realize like how interesting a lot of guys want to do like the belly worship and stuff like that because it's something about a woman. I'm going to say this right now. It's the abs part that also that we talk about that sex appeal.
Sorry,
That,
give me a sec. My cat's asleep. He was messing with the lights. It's lights us up. Let me turn.
no, you're fine. Please, I have a cat over here that's waiting to get out.
I know, right?
Yeah, come on, buddy.
Oh shit! Yeah, I saw him. It's cute.
Thank you. Ah, so when it comes to what we have with, like we were talking about, like the belly just like there's something about belly worship and stuff like that when it comes to people's abs. It's like there's stuff like that that a lot of guys are really into, from whether it just be worshiping and muscle worship as well. I think that's also really an intricate part about it as well, because us as men also do like a lot of women like yourself that have the muscles, because it shows a lot of strength and confidence, and that's another gravitational pull and attraction right there.
Well, I admire people have good work ethic, regardless if it's male or female, and I have no problem like doing muscle wash with another sex.
Right. And that's the thing too, and I think what's great about it as well, with wrestling as well, with what we've seen in any sports, and I include you in this as far as all women encompassed, like women have just really taken over the game from different art forms and different sports and combative natures. So it's really empowering for women, and it really just goes to show like the just do and the evolution, revolution that we've seen women in combative natures in sports, you know?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I do agree. Especially in section where I don't see a lot of male that are doing it. It's pretty much like a female dominated thing.
And I mean, it's one of the things as us, and I think it's one of the things that really showcases the overall landscape, because it's something different and there's something for everyone. And I mean, people talk about how like sessions wrestling and bodybuilding, it mixes as well, because it's the fitness side of things and everything that goes into it. Like you talked about the travel, getting to travel to different places, that's one of the main goals right there. You get to meet up with new clientele, but the travel is very extensive and you're always on the grind.
That's right. I have to make sure I have enough client to cover my expenses each time I travel to different cities.
Oh, exactly. And I think what's also great about it too as well, Jennifer Thomas has so many Sessions Girls events. She's done Women's Athletes on Fire. So there's something for everyone with those events that really empowers women. And also it's a fun time for everybody. I think you can equate this in anything. If you're not having fun and you're not loving what you're doing, then why do it at all, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm yet to explore what those events has to offer. You know, I have a certain period of time each month that allow me to travel because I need to stay at where I'm at, San Diego, for my training, and I have two coaches, so I cannot just like be there when I want to, even though I really want to. I like to meet other section girl. It'll be fun.
I know you're going to get there one day, and I can't wait to see you at a future event. And I mean, with what you're doing with your coaches and what you're doing with Shelby and Cormier and everything that's going on with your coaches, really and really instilled a lot of great mindset and discipline into you. And I think what I always really love about women like yourself, women that get into bodybuilding. I've seen a lot of bodybuilding competitions, and I've seen the elegance, the physique. A lot of people don't even realize, not just the prep, like you mentioned, but it's like when you go onto that stage, you just are enamored with this elegance, this was physique. And there's a lot of really like attracting and appealing things that really, once you get on that stage, it's very mesmerizing, right?
And yeah, well, to me, I love the work. I actually love the grind rather than just that few minutes on stage. But I definitely enjoy being on stand up stage and people cheering for me too.
Right. And I think going for that pro card, there's Arnold Classics, there's so many bodybuilding competitions. And I think for me, a lot of people, and you can equate this to popular culture, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody loves the strongman. Everybody talks about Arnold and doing the Arnold Classic. For me,
Yes,
it was interesting because when I was a kid, like you go to the convenience store and there's like Flex magazine here in the States, there's Muscle and Fitness, there's a lot of bodybuilding DVDs. It's something when you see an image, right? And I think imagery is very important here, where you look at an image in a magazine and it's like, man, I want to go work out. I want to do some weights. I want to look like this particular figure. It motivates you to an extent just to see the imagery of something, and then boom, you want to attain said image for oneself. So I mean, it's kind of not just empowering and very powerful, but it's very interesting just to see one's image and just how that could really guide one to said path, you know?
yeah, that's right. That's right. Growing up from like I was born and raised in Hong Kong, but the only thing I was reading online was Lena Murray. She was my biggest inspiration. So the only motivation that I could get was online from YouTube, from Flex magazine, Muscular Development magazine.
See, I
Those
could
are my only inspiration, motivation. Because like coming from where I'm from, to be honest, Hong Kong bodybuilding in Hong Kong is pretty much very behind. I didn't have anyone to look up to like in person. So those are my only channel. Those are my only way for me to get my motivation from.
Hey, I look at it from a stance too as well, with how technology has advanced over the years, and everything is like right at our fingertips now. I think if you can find that from online, whatever avenue, whatever segue you can find it from, I mean, God bless you. I think that's what we can see nowadays, like we talk about with technology. I mean, there's good and bad things to technology, of course, and social media, but there's some pluses that can help one guide toward their path and really be more positive, because positivity is key in everything. And you talk about Hong Kong. It's the difference in Hong Kong with bodybuilding and America. Is it on completely different worlds? Like you said, it's way behind. Like, what is the difference when you say from Hong Kong to where we are in the States?
So when I started bodybuilding was 2009.
Yeah.
I'm sure 2009 it was pretty much developed here. At least you know what the division is. Like you have bikini, physique, figure, bodybuilding, stuff like that. But when I started bodybuilding, every woman's comes in different shapes and forms in one division, and they're all bodybuilders. That's how behind it was. I liked the figure look when I started bodybuilding, and I didn't even know how it was called. I didn't know the name of figure. That's how behind it was. And I know I wanted to look like that. I had a hard time telling my coach that I wanted to look like that. And my coach at the time, he didn't know what's the training, what's the appropriate training for me to look like that with that broad shoulders, with the nice taper. He had no idea. We just like figure out shit out.
Right. And here's what's interesting about that too. And I think in America, like we were talking about like the difference in the cultures, one of the things I've always like detested, and America became like a big word, because when you look at modeling, right, like you see a lot of women, you're projected of this image of they have to look like, a Cindy Crawford, or they have to look like something that you would see on Sports Illustrated and such and such. The term that always was thrown around, and I even hated it when I was a kid, like mannish was one of the things, because it's like it's so crazy for someone to think of a woman being muscular, because again there's ignorant guys out there, and I think we've upped it as a society, hopefully, or at least I hope. It's one of the things too as well where like that stuff would be frowned upon, but then there, as we got until from 2009, from where you started to where we are now in the year 2022, it's more accepting, and as it should be, because like we talk about women come in different shapes and sizes. Like if you look from the modeling side of things, there's fitness modeling, there's modeling as a whole, there's plus size models. Like
But
there's something for everyone, and it needs to be like that. Go ahead.
yeah, I think so. I think I like the idea of people who promote plus size model right now, because it's more practical, it's more realistic, because everything we see on social media, it's not what it is. What people say, don't trust an Instagram profile because people only show the best side of them. Like they're living full of life. They're like having all the luxury brands and car, but actually they mean they maybe in depths. You never know. And they with all the editing and filter, they don't really look like that in real life. And people like embrace how you look, the stretch mark, be plus. You can still be pretty and sexy as a plus size model. I really like that.
That's the thing too. Like we were talking about, sexy comes in all different layers. Like if you could see, I'm going to use a word here. It's the voluptuosity factor, if you will. Like seeing what we get to see. Like you talk about, like there's more, more cushion for the pushing, as they say. Junk in the trunk, however you want to define it. The voluptuosity factor is there, and I think it's how one perceives an art form. And I'll make a reference here. Look at Bob Ross when he used to host The Joy of Painting. When Bob Ross would put that paintbrush to the canvas, and then bada bing, bada boom, 30 minutes later, we have a waterfall, we have a masterpiece. Mwah. So it's one of those things too. If you can look in the eyes of like how Bob Ross would look at a painting, it's all in one person's eye. And as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's how we all look in our eyes and how we project said image.
That's right. And I think it's very cliched for people to call as name a muscular woman looks like a man. I mean, if you don't like it, then don't just look at it. We're doing that for ourselves. We're not doing here to impress guys. Well, I can say that for myself at least, but some bodybuilders, they just purely do that for attention or for exposure. But I'm not. Like, if I'm doing that to get attention or try to get famous, I don't think I'm famous. Like I'm just somebody. Like I'm not like Hollywood star or something like that. If I did that for attention, I would not do that for half of my life. 15 years. I'm turning 31. I've been doing that for 15 years. And like I cannot give less F about what they think.
All right, I'm going to say this right now. I love you for saying that because I just turned 30 this year, so I'm 1 year behind you. So I'm going to say right now. Thank you. Well, no, I mean, here's the thing, too. And what I love about that mindset, too, is because as we get older, and I found this as myself, like I graduated high school when I was 18 in 2010, right? As I've gone from 2010 to 2022, and now sooner 2023 is going to be coming up, right? When you get to your 30s, you know what I'm saying? You don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I cannot give last fuck
right. Like, you
about
don't
what you think.
exactly. You don't give a fuck what people think. It's like, okay, sure. I'm not in high school anymore. I'm not looking to impress anybody. If I want to do this, I'm going to do it. Just do it. All right, leave me alone. You want to do what you do what you do. Whatever makes you happy. I think as you get older, you start to not only less give a fuck, but it's like you're in your lane and you have focus. You know, this is what I want to do. Boom. So it's more focus and it's more less fuckery. There's a term for everybody. There's less fuckery.
Yeah.
That's how you have to look at it. I'm glad that you brought that up because I've noticed that I think as I've turned 30 and as we get into our 30s, like no fucks given. There's a t-shirt. Put on a t-shirt. Once you get 30, no fucks given. There you go.
I'm getting too old to give some fuck. I'm looking for fuck to give.
Right. There you go.
So even though I'm looking for fucks to give, I'm in my 30s.
Right.
Give a mug shot.
Right, but no, and I think that that's a great attitude to have. I mean, when you get into that field, and I mean, the thing with guys too, as well, when they look at it like, oh, God, woman's doing this, man. You know what it is too? It's that tomboy effect, which again is fine, and I think it's awesome. Like you've seen it like through grade school and high school. Like if a woman wants to join the wrestling team, or if a woman wants to join the football, if that's what they want to do, God bless them. I think what's great in the society that we have today is women are being more featured and more focused. Like, look at professional wrestling. Women just main evented a WrestleMania. Women are really being focused at the top of the card when it would be like if you look at professional wrestling, and I hate to use this term, like the women's match was the piss break. Guys would go to the bathroom. It's not viewed as that anymore. It's not looked as like, oh God. It's more like boom, boom. And I'm gonna say this right now, and I include you in this. A lot of you women are kicking our guys' ass. You are outshining us guys. So that's an amazing thing to see.
And guys, the guys that reach out to us actually love the idea of being beat up.
Right? And that's the thing
That's
too.
the joy of it.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you something here, Miss Marilyn. When we have a woman like yourself kicking our ass, that's heaven right there. You know what I'm saying? When we got an amazing woman like yourself, how can we complain?
Yeah, it's no complaint.
I'm going to say this right now, and I mean, from your story, from starting where you were with 18 and what you've gone through, and got to see just your overall transformation and what we've seen from you. And as I'm looking at you here right now, madam, it's one of those things where I can't wait to see what the future holds for you and what you do with competitions, what you do in sessions wrestling. You're on the up and up, my friend.
Yeah, my coming up competition. Well, actually, my next powerlifting meet is coming up in 2 days. It's happening this Sunday. And I have 2 more competitions coming up at bodybuilding in December. So I'm very, very excited for it.
How you feeling in a couple days? How you feeling going into this next tournament?
Well, I'm just gonna show up at my best. I'm not nervous. When you're nervous, you cannot get anything done.
Sure.
So I'm just calm.
That's the way you have to be. And I think going anything calm and going into it on the right mindset and staying positive is going to achieve a lot of things and a lot of great things and opportunities to come. One of the things I'm really big into, and I love this quote, it's life is an art form and we're all applying our crafts. So if you look at everything as an art form, including life in itself, we're all just here applying our crafts and doing our best, right?
That's right. I like that.
And I got to say, you apply your craft in amazing fashion, Miss Marilyn Yee, the Tiny Tank, one of my favorite names here in the sessions wrestling and bodybuilding world, the Tiny Tank. You live up to the name. And I got to say, man, the tank is going. You never run out. You're like the Energizer Bunny. You just keep going and going. The tank is full. The tank is always full. I like it.
A tank full of field. It may be tiny, but you know what? Small, great thing all comes in small packages. And that's me, Tiny Tank.
Like it. I like that a lot. Now, I'm going to say this before we do close this out. First and foremost, you're an absolute pleasure, and it's an absolute privilege and a blast talking to you. You're such a fun and vibrant person. We'll definitely do a round 2 of this.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And before we do close this out, for those who are not following Marilyn on social media, she's an amazing follow from her poses, from just her overall strength, her videos, and just showcasing those amazing muscles that she possesses. Let everybody know where we can follow you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The floor is yours. Promote the social media.
Sure. My new Instagram account is Marilyn Yee. I always had to turn on my phone. Look at it. Marilyn Yee 1011. And my Twitter is Tiny Tank 1011. And Facebook is also Tiny Tank.
All across the board, Tiny Tank 24/7. Very easy, very simple.
Yeah, it's easy to remember. Like, I don't want to come up with a bunch of like code number. Like, what's the point, really? It's easy to look me up. Tiny Tank, Marilyn Yee.
Hey, beautifully said, and it's easy to remember. I mean, with a face like yours, Miss Marilyn Yee, this grill right here, we can't miss this face. We love this face. My goodness gracious. I'm gonna say for you as well, being as someone, and I always love asking this question because we get to provide a lot of insight, and I always love, really exploring the minds and really helping the next generation, so to speak. So for you, Miss Marilyn Yee, someone who's done bodybuilding, someone who's doing her thing in the sessions wrestling world, what advice would you give to those on the come up in both bodybuilding and sessions wrestling and who want to perceive and pursue such an empowering sport and art form?
Well, you have to do that for yourself. You have to be passionate about it. You have to actually love the work instead of just versus then the moment that you're on stage. You have to actually love what you do. Don't do it for attention or for other or to please other.
Beautifully and eloquently said. Short, simple, and straight to the point. And I got to say, she's got to mean head scissors, folks. For those who have not seen this head scissors mod on, I don't want to get captured up in those head scissors. My goodness, woman.
20 seconds. That's all it takes. You'll be out. 20 seconds.
Hey, she's got a time for it. It's like the pressure point, man. Just hit my pressure point and I'm out. Go to sleep. Put a pillow under me when I'm taking that nap. I like it. All right. Now, what I always say to close this show out, and I truly mean this, because we got a lot of beautiful women doing their thing, folks, and Marilyn Yee is a representation of that. So to close this out, beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are, and Marilyn Yee, the tiny tank herself. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.